Headlines: Security operative disperses Yoruba Nation protesters in Lagos. Beginning of a new reign as Emir of Kano receives staff of office. And Super Eagles optimistic of victory against Mexico. Hello and welcome to Trust News Updates. I am Martia Umar. Pandemonium has broken out in Ojota area of Lagos as the Yoruba Nation protesters defied the heavy police presence to stage a rally. Trust TV correspondent Eugene Aga has the rest of the details.
The protesters actually arrived the Ghanaian Freedom Park as early as 6:37, defiling both the state and the police instruction, warning for them to stay away from that area. They started chanting freedom songs. But around 8:39, the police arrived and dispersed them with hot water cannon, fired some canister tear gas into the air, and fired some bullets also into the air. However, the protesters actually left, but they regrouped again around 11 or thereabout. You know, some of them actually took to the inner streets, and we are saying that they were determined to actualize the vision of their leaders. Part of some of the things they were asking for: good governance, a right to determine who is their leader, a right to self-actualization, and so on. However, the high point of the whole thing is that while the protest was going on in the inner streets, some shouts and cries, came from one of the streets that a teenage girl was hit by a stray bullet, probably fired when the police were trying to disperse the crowd. The little girl of whose age cannot be more than 13, 14 years of age was found dead in a pool of her own blood-stained clothes. That also aggravated the situation. The protesters who actually left the scene also trooped out. Around 9, the Commissioner of Police, Lagos Akim Kudumosu, also arrived to ensure that normalcy returned to Ojota. However, I observed that there is this heavy security presence around the city of Lagos, Maryland, Keja, Juelegba. All these areas were heavily policed, so that I want to believe that they don't want the protesters to, the protests rather, to spread to other parts of the metropolis. Okay. Normalcy is gradually returning.
Okay.
There is a free flow of vehicular movement, both commercial and private. But there is this palpable tension around Ojota. The usual crowd of people trying to access or board vehicles to one place or the other is not visible yet. The street hawkers are doing their business briskly. They'll come out, go back for fear of either being arrested or having their wares hijacked from them by the protesters. So everybody, those who are around are on their toes, expecting the worst to happen, like it's always the case in Lagos. If there is any protest, definitely some people might want to hijack the protest to unleash mayhem, on travelers.
That was Eugene Aga, Daily Trust crime and maritime correspondent in Lagos. In another development, It is a joyous occasion in Kano State as the Emir Alhaji Aminu Bayero is officially coronated today following his appointment on March 9, 2020. Prior to his current position, he was Emir of Bichi in 2019 while receiving the oath and staff of office in the presence of dignitaries. The Emir promised to uphold the culture and tradition of the people like those before him. Ibrahim Ado Kurawa, in an interview with Trust TV, gave some historical insights on Kano Emirate.
When you talk about Emirate, it's something that has legitimacy in relation to the jihad of Sheikh Uthman Danfodio of 1807 in Kano. That was what established Kano Emirate. But Kano existed as a kingdom with Seriki, who could be considered a king. That was before the jihad of Danfodio. But after the jihad of Danfodio, it became an emirate under the Sokoto Caliphate. So it was no longer independent. The emirate was just like a province of the Sokoto Caliphate in the 19th century. So technically that's what it is. And when the British came, they continued with that arrangement with emirs ruling on their behalf. So, and the British were the ones who introduced this idea of coronation, of giving staff of office to the emir. So that is briefly how the coronation started. It started with the British in 1903 when they appointed Emir Abbas and they gave him the staff of office. So they cannot put a crown on his head. But the emirate existed before the British. The Kano as a kingdom existed before Danfodio, jihad of 1807. 1807 was when Danfodio appointed Suleiman as the Emir of Kano. There was a gathering at Kofar Mata San Abacha Stadium where the governor gave the staff of office to the Emir. So all those things that they used to do before, they have done them because now they have reduced the protocols since the vaccination and the fall in coronavirus incidences. So everything is normal as usual as they wanted it to be done.
Civil society organizations and professional media groups have voiced opposition to the Press Council Amendment Bill. National Chairman of the National Conscience Party, Yunus Atonko, is the latest individual to join the call against the bill.
If the bill is targeted towards enhancing the professionalism of our press, then it is acceptable. But we must say the truth. The truth is that there are some registered media houses who ended up not really being professional in their duty. What they do is that they sell features, they sell content into the interest of the person that they are representing. I.e., we have pen writers who will create guided information, factual information. In fact, some of these particular informations or published documents will also be like a blackmail. Not only is it a blackmail, it is more or less like a falsified document just in order to gain query favor. So there must be professionalism being enshrined into the system. As long as the bill does not gag the freedom of information, freedom of expression, investigative journalism, and factual journalism, that particular bill should be allowed to be scrutinized very well in the National Assembly for the interest of the press itself and then the public consumption. There's also the issue about welfareism of the press crew itself. It has become very, very important that we talk about the welfare of the reporters, the cameramans, those who are involved into the action of press recording and press releases. It has become very knowledgeable to every Nigerian that most of the pressmen are not being well taken care of, thereby endangering them and opening them for corrupt tendencies. Because when you have an employee and you're not taking care of his remuneration and you're not taking care of his welfare, about his health and all, he has a tendency of making into the public any form of information that he or she feels like. And as long as he's being paid to do the job, he will do it. But then also, what about the professionalism, about the protection of the sovereignty of the country or the area in which he or she is reporting on? Because there are insinuations where the sovereignty of this country is being touted for any international organization who may want to cause mayhem and destruction in the system. Basically, you can see what happens in the social media. In the social media now, anything goes. You see people being, a story being created, fake news. So it has also become even difficult for you to actually identify which is the true story or which is the fake story. So for me, about the bill on press is supposed to be that will help and enhance the activities of our press men and women.
Coming up after the break, Nas appears his newborn baby in the eye. Just stay with us.
Get latest updates on current topical issues and breaking news by downloading the Trust TV mobile app on your Android devices. Go online, click Google Play Store, search Trust TV, install the app, and get doses of unfiltered information on happenings all over the world in your pocket. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
My name is Samuel Dada. Yakubu Isa, ana mana ɗabi da jeji. Aminu Musa. A wannan harkar ce muke dan samun abinci, an muke taimaka mu wasu da yawa. Looking for private jobs. Sometimes you get employed and the process of payment, you undergo some kind of stress.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. Here's a recap of our top stories. We told you that security operative dispersed Yoruba Nation protesters in Lagos. Beginning of a new reign as Emir of Kano receives staff of office. And still in the news, parents have been blamed for allowing their children spend more time on social media and television rather than on their books. The Imam Apple Legislative Mosque, Nuru Khalid, and the presiding bishop of Dominion Chapel International Church's Archbishop John Praise made the observation while delivering their sermon. Trust TV correspondent Gaza Yakubu tells us more.
The recent mass failure recorded in the just concluded JAM examination has been linked to lack of proper parental training. The Imam, Apple Legislative Mosque, Abuja, Sheikh Muhammad Nur Kali, said parents need to curb the habit of allowing children spend more time on the television and the internet.
Media is also responsible because you scarcely have educative programs in our televisions and radios.
In the same vein, the presiding bishop of Dominion Chapel International Churches, Archbishop John Praise, noted that the role of parents in bringing up their kids can never be overemphasized and said it is the responsibility of parents to train up their children.
A parent must be able to know that a child is not doing well by monitoring the academic performance of that child. And when we don't do that, they will just go to school, within they are in school and they are not in school. Either they are with friends misbehaving somewhere. So parents owe it a responsibility to monitor what happens with their kids.
The Imam advised the media to fill their airtime with educational program rather than entertainment to help enhance their children's intellect. Gaza Yakubu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Falashade Additional nurse at Usman Danfodio University Teaching Hospital, Sokoto, has been arrested for using a needle to pierce the eyes of a newborn baby a few minutes after she was born in order to avenge a carryover she got in school. Asmao Tijani, mother of the baby, expressed shock over the allegation, explaining that she's a non-academic staff and had no business handling student scripts in the university. Daily Trust reports that the suspect was remanded in a correctional center following her arraignment by the police before the Sokoto Magistrate Court. On the foreign scene, France will resume joint military operations in Mali after suspending them earlier in June, following the West African country's second coup in less than a year. The decision to suspend the joint operation came after Mali's military strongman Assimi Goïta overthrew the country's civilian transitional president and prime minister. In sports, Nigerians should expect a good performance when Super Eagles B team take on Mexico in an international friendly on Sunday. Super Eagles player Ibrahim Sanusi speaks to Trust TV ahead of the game.
Yeah, for me, it's a very great opportunity, and it's a very great opportunity to all the players also to be here to represent the country, Nigeria. The game is not going to be easy as well. In football, every game is tough, and by God's grace, we are going to try our best to give what our country needs. Yeah, what Nigerian I want them to expect from the players entirely is to give them the result that everyone wants to get here, because the game we need to have 3 points, and by God's grace we are going to work hard to give the country the 3 points, inshallah.
We wish them the very best. And that's a wrap on the Trust News Update. Do follow us on our social media platforms. I am Martia Umar. Thank you for watching.